Thank you to Dr. Bobo and the Iran Heritage Foundation for inviting me to share the experience I have about the city of Tehran, the ugliest city in the world maybe, but I love this city. And so I have a contract with a publisher in France 30 years ago. I signed the contract, and I've got the first sentence of the book, I love Tehran. And then I have just only 300 pages to write, but that's nothing important. The main point is that the first sentence is clear, I love Tehran. And I would like to share with you some ideas about this city, from Bazaar to Shahestān Pahlavi, and to discuss about the fact that where is the city center in Tehran, and what is behind. I think I have to push on that now. Yeah, okay. At the beginning, things were easy. City of Tehran was within walls, and there was one center around the Khaneh, around the Bazaar, and so things were very clear. There was a city center, and since the space was surrounded by walls, no problem at all. And on that time, a little bit further, when the wall was destroyed, Tehran was a dualistic city, with on the north the well-off people and new centers towards the north, and in the south, poor people. The city was quite clear. There were two centers, one for the rich, one for the poor, and things were in the framework of an easy way of thinking. But, excuse me, and maybe afterwards we had the same thing. This map belongs to the last master plan of Tehran, and the human planners have drawn this map of Tehran, showing again that there is one city center in Tehran, and even if they are explaining that Tehran is a multi-center city, but they cannot prevent themselves for having an historical center of Tehran. They are dreaming about a main city center. As a matter of fact, Tehran is a very united city, and most of the activity is still in the city center between the Abbasabad Avenue here and the Bazaar here. This map was done by, in the framework of the Atlas of Tehran I have prepared with Dr. Habibi in the good old time when Mr. Ahmadinejad was the mayor of Tehran. He was a dictator, and so very efficient for supporting things that he had decided to do, and of course for not doing things he had decided not to do. But we had a lot of data, and we have shown that the difference between the work capacity, the employment capacity in some places, and the people living there is quite important in these places, for instance, where a lot of people are working but not living. It means that people have to come from outside of this place to go there. And so the centralization of activities in Tehran is still very important between the Bazaar and the future Shahestān Pahlavi. If you're looking at the bookshops, people north of Tehran are supposed to be literate people, loving books, but there is no bookshops in these places. If they want to buy a book, they have to go around Tehran University or even in the Bazaar. And the Bazaar is for many people the place where you can find religious books especially. And in front of Tehran University, it is much more better than in Quartier Latin in front of Sorbonne. In Sorbonne, there is no longer only two bookshops in front of Sorbonne. Everything is McDo and low-level shops. But in Tehran University, you've got in front of Tehran University almost 200 or 300 bookshops. So the city center of Tehran remains here very concentrated. But the second stage is the fragmented city. Not exactly a dualistic city. We know that we had previously, in the southern part of Tehran, the Bazaar, which was the main social and commercial city center of Tehran, that's clear. Then the second stage, in the 50s, Istanbul Avenue, Ferdowsi Avenue, and the city center of Tehran, between Enrelab, Shahestān Street here, try to see that, Shahestān Street and Down Road, this place was the city center of Tehran in the 50s. And then in the 60s, around Sheikh Atenaft and around the US Embassy, it was a new center of Tehran, Takht-Jamshid was the center of Tehran, and then Abbasabad became a new center, and then a new center supposed to be Shahestān Pahlavi northward. So it means that Tehran was at that time a multi-center city with different social groups. It's not poor and rich, it's much more sophisticated. Iran was in the 70s, 60s a much more sophisticated city. And the white revolution of the Shah was making this new system with aristocrats maybe on one side, well-off people, poor people on the other side, and in the middle a new middle class. I show up that in this graph. We have got in Tehran just before revolution. In the north of Tehran, a lot of people living in Laleh, that's right. And we have poor people living in Shahestān, that's right. But we have more or less rich people in southwest, southeast, and poor people in southeast Shahestān. In the northern part of Tehran, we had the not so well-off people around Sultanate, and well-off people on the side of Scientifique. But the main thing was, around the centers of Tehran, and in the middle of Shahestān and Relab Avenue, we had the new middle class living there. South of the Bazaar, new people, new middle class are living there. Of course, it is a usual place of life. Around Tehran, in east and west of the axis of Pahlavi Avenue, people are living, middle class people. They want, of course, to go north, but difficult to go north directly. The step is difficult to go up. But going by the side is quite easy to go up. And so, in this time of Islamic revolution of Iran, what happened? It was not a revolution of the poor people against the well-off people, but was something else that the middle class have done. And where is the center for middle class? We have no recent middle class center. There was the Bazaar, there was Istanbul, Takht-Jamshid, Abbasabad, or Vanak. No place was really the city center. So they decided to go from Meydan Tup to Meydan Shariat. They have decided to walk between north and south, and I am the middle class, so I am not on this side and not on that side. I walk in the middle, and it cut down completely the axis from south to north. That was the way Tehran was growing up. So we are facing now a new way of managing the centers of Tehran. As a matter of fact, this axis east-west, which we shall speak about it in a few minutes, in the former Flamboyant plan of Tehran of the 60s, the new master plan decided to have again this axis north from south, which is showing up that Tehran is still a fragmented city with several groups, social groups, fighting against each other or separating one from the other. On the contrary, if they were organizing the city from east to west or west to east, the middle class should have found its own identity, its own room, its own place, its own center. It's not the case, and the current municipality is just implementing the things they are criticizing in the time of the Shah. They made a revolution against that, and they're implementing exactly the same thing against which they have made a revolution. That's the story. So we had in the south the city of the Bazaar of Tehran, in Nasser Khosrow. We had in these places the poor city of Tehran. We found again the place where the first French embassy, when the first French ambassador came to Tehran, he rented this house. It was found again, and the French ambassador would like to buy it again. But when he went there for the first time and to buy it with money from Total and the companies at cheap price, he came back 1 month later, and the price was 100 times more. They had understood that French ambassador would like to buy the place, so the price was run up, and so they gave it a project. But in these places, they would like to renew the city. And of course, they are planning now new buildings, destroying the old buildings and making in Laleh-zar and other places of the city to find in the historical place of Tehran a new way of living. But it is a matter of architecture, not a matter of human planning. It's just one house here, one house somewhere else, and to be included in the project of renovation. Laleh-zar Avenue was the new middle class and upper middle class in the 40s, 50s, and of course Tup remained the main place. We are speaking about this place this morning. Of course, Tup is just close to the Bazaar. It is a new place belonging to the business, to the power, the political power, and just in the south of Laleh-zar Avenue, which is a place for cultural westernization. So it could be the city center of Tehran, where all the groups were joining, but it wasn't the case. And so, of course, we had the political center just close to it, and Plasco Boulevard, Istanbul Avenue, was the Plasco building, the center in the 50s, 60s of the new middle class, based on on business, and it could be, of course, a new center of Tehran for the new middle class. But you know, the Glasgow store were destroyed, was burned a few months ago, destroyed. It means that even this center is not longer a center for Tehran. In Tehran, we have got also the worst of human art, having this sort of statues which doesn't belong to any culture in Iran. Shame on Iranian architects and Armandan who are able to do such a thing. But of course, Tehran was going up and having new projects. Arbi Karaj was a place where it's a new center for the people in the 50s who used to have picnic on that place. It was transformed, of course, to a new place. And Takht-Jamshid Avenue was, of course, Talleyrani Avenue today, one of the main places, the centers of Tehran in the 70s. And of course, on the North Tehran, a photograph of Hilton I think, in the beginning of the 60s, where there was nobody in that time. And one center among this fragmented city, is there one center? In my opinion, it's not the Bazaar, it's not khaneh, it's not US Embassy, it is not Vanak, it is maybe Tehran University. It was the headquarters of Talleyrani during the revolution, a place where the former westernized people were there, not religious people were there, so taken by Talleyrani to be a joint venture between the liberals and the mullahs, a place where education is given, a place also for riots, a place for science, and it is a place for maybe today everybody is joining there. It can join, can be, agree to be there. They find in Tehran University a place to meet. And as a matter of fact, just crossing the avenue, you can find all the bookshops there. And so the University of Tehran today is made maybe by Tehran University, but that's not a joke. A new center around Tehran, maybe. It was a center, and in matter of fact, it was a center during the revolution. It was the aim, the end of the demonstrations. And so this empty place became a central place for political reasons, because there was no other room for that. But the main topic I would like to speak about is the fact that Tehran is a city that has missed the train of globalization. Of course, Dubai is the capital city of Iran today. The financial, the economic capital city of Iran. If you have got some money in Tehran, you cannot invest in Iran. If you are crazy, you do so, but if you're not crazy, don't do so. You take your money, you go to Dubai, and to have a branch in Tehran if you want, but the headquarters, of course, is in Dubai. So Dubai, shame on people thinking about Tehran. In the good old time, what should have been done? Tehran would have been the capital city of Middle East, the strongest civilization, the strongest power, the most efficient new middle class, having made a revolution in the 60s. So everything was done, the green light was everywhere open for everything in Tehran in the 70s. But it didn't occur, the revolution occurred, and things different occurred. And so today Tehran has to deal with something else. It was a collapse, or the mistake, or the failure of Shahestān Pahlavi. Shahestān Pahlavi was a project done by the king on that time and given to Medlin Davis. The contract was very interesting because it was a project in the north of Tehran, between Bazaar was here and the different one. It was the last center on the top of the pyramid. It was not a matter of human planning. It was not a project for having Tehran united, a sophisticated Tehran from north to south, from east to west. It was just a project of architecture, but it was also a way to change the capital city. The capital city was Niavaran, Baharestan, Niavaran, and the new place would be Shahestān Pahlavi. They were thinking about the place for having there new buildings. The Tehran municipality, the government, the Majlis, the place of Prime Minister, the National Library, all the sign of the power would be there. It was a matter of having the best capital city, not a city, meaning the city of London, no, not a city for economy, a city for politics, a city for international activities. Not a city, not a place where are joining the social, cultural, economical activities of the city. It was a problem of design, or to show up that here in Tehran is the best country in the world where the political system is very bright, open to the future of globalization. We are not speaking about globalization at that time. And Tehran could be the capital city of Middle East. And it could be such a thing. But the main problem was that, in my opinion, that this project, made by architects, and very well good architects, did not include economic activities. Or in a city, if you need to make a city, you need money. Where are the people having the money there? It will be the capital city. I have got the money coming from oil or from international business. Where can I have my headquarters here? No place for headquarters. Somewhere else. So this is not my city. This is not my city. And I am out of this city. But in the 670s, with the price of oil having increased, Iran was the economic capital city of Middle East, having all the capacity to be a large industrialized country. But this project was not given an answer to the people wanting to have, to give to the new middle class, born after the white revolution of the Shah. They need money, they need power, and there was no room for them to make business, to have economic activity. So this project was abandoned because of the revolution, of course, the main fact was there. But I think also that if Iran has done that, the growth of Dubai will have occurred in any case, maybe, which I think that nobody can make the future with the past. So what is today? Today we have got, instead of having a new capital city, a new political center of Iran, we have got a green, we have got a huge park, Talleyrand Park, an empty place. It was also a place where the Iraqi prisoners were held for years there. We have a park, now the trees have grown up. A park, it is surrounded by freeways, so difficult to go there. There have been a new bridge, Proletariat, starting from nowhere and going to anywhere. And we have, no, I'm not criticizing the system. You have got some buildings, Some or 2 or 3 buildings are there in the middle of nowhere. If you want to go there, I went to this building when it was just finished 10 years ago, and I had the meeting at 5. It was quite sunny at that time. When I went out, it was night. I was scared, in this place. There was only one building, no taxi, nobody at all. I have to walk half an hour to reach a freeway, and the freeway cannot have a taxi. And so, but it is far from the idea of Shahestān Pahlavi. And so, today we have got some buildings there, National Library, but scattered building, and of course, the Mosalla. In the southern part of Shahestān Pahlavi has been built up the new mosque of Tehran, but for Friday prayer, people don't go there. They do prefer to go to Tehran University. That's a good prayer. In this place, that's a modern place where nobody lives in Abbasabad. Nobody is living in Abbasabad. And so they don't like it, and this Mosalla is just used for official political reasons, but not in the heart, even of the Muslim revolutionary people of Tehran. So, are we going today towards unified city? We had the unified city in the time of the wars. We had a divided city in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when on the top of the pyramid was Shahestān Pahlavi. And the lack of thinking about globalization, about the global development of Tehran, is maybe in the making. Let us dream. I made this map with Ali Modarres for University of California with the data of for the Atlas of Tehran. We have mixed up the data and showing. In blue, you have got the very positive cultural, economic people, the well-off people. They are not living in northern Tehran. In northern Tehran, they are got money, but they don't so well educated. They don't work. The rate of women working is very low in the northern part of Tehran, much more in the central part of Tehran, around Abbasabad, Banak, and so on. So in this part of the data are not available for this map. But this is the center. So you have got in dark blue the people who are educated, who are not too young, not too old, the female population is working, and they are educated, and they are working in administration and in higher social activities. And in the red, of course, you have got the poor people, illiterate, the women are not working, and so on and so forth. What do we see? We see that the difference between north and south exists, of course. That's clear. In the south, it's much more in the red than in the north. But here we have got in relevant news, in Valian, here in Fusilier. So this road is no longer the border between north and south. This border is a wall, the social wall between north and south has been broken by the revolution before the revolution. It was the outcome of the revolution. And so we have got now, these people from north are influencing to the south. And I made a map about the percentage of female population, working female population. It's higher here in Shah Dolazi than in Tajrish. Because the people of lower Islamic class, they push their daughters to be teachers in university, in schools and so on. So the rate of women working in the south of Tehran is higher than the north. So we see there a sort of new corridor, north to south, not, of course, divided, but not so divided as it could be. So is there a sort of unification of the city? And now we can see that among these other data I have put on the map. It is the single household where the single people is working, is living. And you can see that from the railway here to Tajriz, the sort of axis from north to south, exactly the blue axis we had previously, where, for instance, a lady can live. A lady alone in the social, in the cultural system of Iran is not easy. But if you are a lady living alone, you can live along this avenue, because on Pahlavi Avenue, on Palias Avenue, it is taxis all the day and night, and you can live alone without any problem. And I show, for the joke, I show this map to Ahmadinejad when with my friend we had to see him to show that our job is not a job to destroy Tehran as terrorists and spies, but just a job useful for the people of Tehran and so on and so forth. So we met Ahmadinejad. I had the opportunity to speak 5 minutes with him to show up with my friends, colleagues, the project we had. I showed him this map, showing exactly not this map. It was the single household, the ladies' single household. He told me, "Oh, you show me the map of the prostitutes in Tehran." Excuse me, Mr. It's that most of these ladies are educated. That's the reason why they are not married at the age and they live alone, because they are not married, they have high education, so they live in this place. No, it's not possible. So I made the map exactly the same, more or less, with a single household, male and female, but it shows that we have got here a sort of unification of Tehran. As a matter of fact, we have in Tehran, you look at Tajrish, that's the landscape of Tajrish today. That's the landscape of the malls of Tajrish, traditional malls. Here is the landscape in a place in the western part of Tehran. The most is the same, almost the same. You are going in Tuprane. In Tuprane, you've got the building of the ugliest building of Tehran, of the post office there. And so the landscape of the streets is exactly the same. In Bazaar, Tehran, and Tajrish, you've got the same population in the streets, in the north and the south. In the south, exactly like Tajrish in Bazaar and Tehran. Here, the Bazaar of Tehran, exactly like Tajrish or Meydan Sanabad. And in Meydan Boulevard, in the city center of Tehran, the landscape of the city, the centers of Tehran, have got exactly the same pictures. So I think that we have got this unifying society of Tehran with no center. You're in Tajrish, you're in the Bazaar, more or less you find the same society, more or less. I speak about the urban, about the public space, of course. And so Tehran is a city without any center. Everyone has got his own center, and there is no special category, rich, middle, or poor, having its own place. And you can see that in many occasions. So I think that, to conclude this presentation, that Tehran is a moving city. Let's go north. Let's go. This picture was in the house of Professor Henri Corbin, in his house, and when he passed away, his wife gave us this picture. It was Shahestān Pahlavi, I think in the 40s. It is about Hanak, I think, more or less. And this photograph, just a part of it, it was a very long one, several photographs taken. I think it was taken from the Tapeh Abbasabad, from Takht-Jamshid to the north. So let's go to the north. There is a good avenue, and as a matter of fact, the structure of Tehran is made by freeways. So the network of freeways is important, much more than the centers. When you see a map of Tehran, you see the map of the freeways. So what's important when you show up Tehran is not the centers, not the place where people meet, the place where people go. If they go in a car, they cannot meet each other. And even the metro show up that People can circulate, can move from one place to the other, but where can they meet? Here, 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 so many places to meet. So not the capacity in such a city to find a place where all the people of the city are happy to meet each other, even they are rich or poor, a place where they become nice to be the citizens of Tehran. And of course, it is a city of cars. We have discussed about this program this morning. And as a matter of fact, people in Tehran are moving all the time. No room, no place for being in the same place together. And no room for pedestrian. And this perspective is important. One detail, that's the reason why I left Tehran. When you have got such ugly avenue, but at the end of the avenue, you have got the Tochal, Tehran, Farzan, and Alborz. And so I invited people from the municipality of Paris when they were preparing the master plan of Tehran. And they, in the morning, they arrived in the hotel. And in the morning, they opened the window. It was just after snow in the mountain. And so the tubes were a lot of water. So the noise of the water in the tubes. The Pahlavi Avenue was magnificent with the trees. And so the snow in the mountains, they say, oh, that's the most marvelous city in the world. No city in the world has got such a scenery, such a background, a natural background. It should be the most magnificent city in the world. So, sure, be quiet. It's not the case. And they say, oh, what a pity! With such a city, we could have been up the best city in the world. So, let's stop crying. So, the car is the king of the city. But what's important is that, as told you, since there is no room, no place, no single crossroad to meet, in the Bazaar it's too old and too small, in Sabze Meydan. Khaneh is a place for parking for bus, it is far from everywhere. In Takht-Jamshid Avenue or in Abbasabad with no rules, the Musalla is not a place for meeting, not enough. Tehran University is too strong. So the only thing we can have is to move from one place to the other. And one of the main conclusions I have about this social diversity inside Tehran, the fact that there is no special place for meeting, is that during the revolution, the people went from one side of Tehran to the other. And today it's the same thing. When there is a strong meeting by some public, what they say, do meet in that place. No, go from that place to the other. And so people are walking in the street. But walking in the street is important. When you walk in the middle of an avenue, which is usually used by cars, you are taking your hand in your feet. You are taking the city in your hand. That's important. I can walk in the middle of the avenue and I am the king of the city. I take my city in my feet. And that's important. Once a year, that's good, no more. But people are making this moving appropriation of the city. Of course, now things are different. People are sometimes walking, what you say, in Laleh-zar. And they have built this sort of Chinese model of Le Corbusier model. Huge houses, huge building. The money is coming from where? Don't ask about that. Money is there. The building has been built around a nice lake. The water is stolen from Tehran to be there, and it is supposed to be the center of Tehran, the west part of Tehran. And they are building just behind, just in that side of the picture, the largest mall in the Middle East. Should be, of course, in Iran, it should be the largest mall in the Middle East, much more than in Dubai. Empty mall not a problem. Nobody can go there because there is no metro, no bus station, no taxi, nothing. But not important. So people now are gathering around malls. And a student of mine has prepared a dissertation for master degree last summer about this fact. Here are the malls, the most important malls in Tehran. Around the main axis, in the north, in the west, Tehran, nothing in the south. So the new centers of Tehran are scattered. And as you said this morning, Victor Grün was the man who was thinking about shopping malls. And shopping malls are in the making today. But the question is that they are closing down the shopping malls in the US, and Iran, they are starting doing so 60 years later. Iran is far from reality. The capital city is in Dubai. Dubai is already made, of course, with many mistakes, but the capital city is there. And so Iran is arriving in modernization 50 years, 40 years after the others. That's a matter of concern. And so these are the new centers of Tehran, scattered everywhere around shopping malls that maybe will be closed. So, of course, the buildings could be nice here and there, but it is only shopping centers. It's not a place for global meetings, a place where people who can meet. And of course, the tower of Milad, for instance, which is taken from the top of Milad, it's in the middle of nowhere. If you go to Milad Tower, you go to Tour Eiffel in Paris. Tour Eiffel is a place where you can meet. Champ de Mars is for a long time ago, a central place in Paris for huge meetings. But here in Meydan, around Milad Tower, you have to go by car, by taxi there, and there is nothing around it. So it's not a place for people. And that's the major issue in all this fact, that people have made master plans for Tehran using technicity, using land, but having never in mind the fact that in this city people are living. I was fighting during the last master plan of Tehran, when we were preparing my atlas with Farshad Habibi to show the atlas of Tehran. 8 million people are living here. You should make a city for these people. No, we don't want to have. We don't want to make a city for the people. Yeah, but it's not the problem. The problem is the weight of people. A man is not a man. A man is 100 kilo of meat, transported in the metro. So the problem is the weight of people. A lady is 80 kilo. A man 100 kilo with luggage in her bracket. So the problem is a matter of weight, not a matter of human being. And so we are thinking, and the debate we had this morning, with the social demand, with social heritage, cultural heritage of the people, and the link between technocrats and the people. So is it Tehran there or not? And in my opinion, Tehran is maybe here, a small kuche where you can meet at least your neighbors, and that's a very important thing. And I've got to conclude on human beings. Thank you.